Hi everyone. Can we start now?
Am I here? Am I clear?
Yes, I believe you
Yeah,
are.
but it seems
I
like
heard Charlie talk earlier.
there's a noise going on. Okay,
Yes, the
Okay,
wind
okay.
is because I am outside. That's why I keep muting my phone, my mic. But I can hear both of you clearly.
okay.
It's all
So
good.
yeah, we have a pleasure tonight to have Shira to
Perfect.
present.
Okay. Arun
Yes,
will, I believe he's the one adjudicating, right?
yes.
Or leading the meeting?
Can someone hear Arun?
Nasif is mute.
Okay,
No,
so I
I
I'm
guess.
not
can hear
mute.
him.
Hold on, he has to put a
He
record
is
on.
not mute. I
Okay.
hear him clearly. I can hear Shiraz as well. So
Okay.
There's a problem of communication because
We
Yeah,
can't
Charlie.
hear.
Nasif, we cannot hear Nasif.
We can't hear him on our side.
oh, that is
Okay,
really
there goes
weird.
the recording.
Or maybe
Okay.
you can disconnect from your side, or Arun, you may disconnect and
Okay.
reconnect because I
Okay,
hear you both. You both should disconnect and reconnect certainly.
okay. Let me do
Okay.
that.
Okay. Let's do that.
Can you hear me now?
Again, I can hear you.
Can Shira hear me? Can anyone else hear
Arun
me
is
apart from
muted.
Shira?
Okay, I can see Arun
I
talking.
can hear you.
I can hear you.
Are
I
we
can hear
muted?
you.
No, we're not, but it's not picking up audio.
And not picking up audio.
Now it's picking up audio. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Shira, can you hear
Can
Am
Fatu?
I? Yeah. Am I here? Am I here? Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Can I hear Fatu? No. I can
Can
hear
you
you
hear
now.
Charlie? Oh, can you hear me? Okay, that's fine. So thank you. Tonight
Okay.
we have the pleasure to have Shira to present one of the best author in the financial world. If you hear anyone who want to describe their journey, most of the time they will say that they start the journey with Rich Dad and Poor Dad book. So it's a pleasure to have him to present tonight's book, which is Before You Quit Your Job, and is by Robert Kiyosaki. So Shira, you have the floor for 15 to 20 minutes, and after that, everyone will have 3 to 4 minutes to come and give some idea how we can understand this book. Thank you. You have the floor.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll just get started now. Let me turn my presentation on. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. Okay, and I'll start. So, Before You Quit Your Job by Robert Kiyosaki. We all know him for Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but I'll just get started. So, born April 8th, 1947, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad is his most popular work. He was born and lived his early life in Hawaii, and that's the setting of a good portion of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But then he transitioned into, later on in life, he transitioned into the Rich Global LLC, right? And there he was focusing on basically helping other people develop themselves financially and personally, just like getting that education that they need to then develop themselves further or get themselves in a better financial position, right? So I'm just going to go throughout just a brief summary of each of the chapters, some of the ideas that I like from the book. I won't cover everything, but just like some of the big ideas, right? So first, chapter 1, we're talking about this idea of the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur, right? And the biggest difference fundamentally is the focus on stability versus the focus on being able to take a risk, right? So employees, they seek stability with a good job, right? After the business is done, after the risks have been taken, after the investments have already been made, right? While entrepreneurs will build a business up to take a risk on the chance of that additional success that's many times more than what an employee could get, right? Another big idea is that hard work does not equal success, right? Working hard does not mean that your business will be successful, right? So you need to create your business with certain big ideas in mind, right? You need to create your business so like it can operate without you, right? If you have to take off a sick day, everything doesn't come to a halt, right? If it can grow and add values to others, that means that it will be able to continue to grow even without your direct interference or even without your direct focus. And another big thing is that it's scalable, right? Can the idea grow over time, right? Because if you're limited in the scope of your business, like a strong financial shock might just send everything like tumbling, right? So in the next chapter, we want to talk about there's several like individual level ideas, right? First is turning bad luck into good luck, right? And here the main focus is you need to change your perception and your emotions around the event to then turn bad luck into good luck, right? Because the many times what we perceive as bad luck are just opportunities. And if you make a mistake, that's an opportunity to learn from that mistake. That's another big thing that separates entrepreneurs from employees. Another idea is this focus on analysis paralysis, right? There will never be a perfect time where you have all of the information to make a decision, and there will always be information you don't know. So you need to just get started and overcome that. You need to acquire that why not mindset, right? Why not? You have a very, very good reason to not jump in, right? If you overcome your doubt and you take those smart risks, then it allows you like to focus on the big picture and develop yourself and learn from those opportunities, right? So the next chapter, we're talking about sales, and more importantly, not so much sales as like, okay, you are selling a product, but more sales as in you are raising money through different ways, right? So a big idea that the author pushes is using OPM, other people's money, right? You can raise capital for your business using other people's money. And another big idea they also add on is like learning experience in junior roles in other people's already established companies, right? You're not there at that company to earn money. You're there to get that information that then in turn lets you position yourself to make money, right? Another big idea they talk about is how you need to focus on developing a team, right? Because one person can only do so much. That's right. That's why your business shouldn't rely on you as an individual, right? The biggest businesses in the world are some of the biggest because of the sheer amount of people that they have and the sheer amount of ideas they can leverage, right? And then another idea I like from the chapter is this idea that growth needs new management, right? Because if you want to grow your business, eventually the business will physically outgrow you as the person, right? The CEOs of the biggest companies do not know what the day-to-day minutia of every single worker is, right? Even like some mid-level managers don't know what the 100+ workers that they have under them are doing, right? So you need to be able to expand the leadership and the management within your company to then also grow your company. And then the author also lists some like 5 entrepreneurial jobs or jobs that allow you to be an entrepreneur without actually like, okay, you're taking capital to immediately start up a business, right? And I just listed some of them shortly. I'll also put the presentation in the group chat later for anyone who wants to read it later. So on chapter 4, they talk about the different kinds of thinkers, right? And the focus here isn't so much on the kinds of thinkers, but rather figuring out what kind of thinker you are and then finding a business that is applicable to your kind of thinking, right? So that you know, okay, I enjoy doing this, or I find great joy, I find great purpose in what I do because it relates to the way I think and the way I view the world, right? Different thinkers are drawn to different business types. And another big idea is the success formula, right? team smarts, because you want to focus your business as a team project, right? It equals school smarts plus street smarts plus the collaborative experience, right? There's many things that you learn in school that aren't applicable to the real world, but are very important to your business. And there are many things you learn out on the street that you don't learn in school and might not be the technical minutia, right? But it's really important to keep in mind. And you collaborate as a team to then create that effective team smarts that keeps your business going. So in chapter 5, they basically talk about cash flow and understanding money and understanding not the individual like dollar percentage amounts, right? But the ideas of like, okay, how is your money being used both in the short term and the long term, right? What they're going to be periods in time where your business's income is low, right? What are you doing during those periods of time where your business income is low, right? Like big market stores, Walmart, Amazon, etc., right? Christmas is the big season for them, right? So they prepare everything around the Christmas season, and then they expect a lot of their profit to be made around the Christmas season versus other periods of time where, okay, we expect product to be low at this period of time. We expect throughput to be low at this period of time. So we're going to make less money here, but we have money to run our operations, right? You, whenever you are running your business, need to analyze periods where business is going to be slow. And if you don't have that data already from your previous experience, you can learn from what other people, or you can view how the greater market behaves to learn that information, right? You need to understand your cash cycles, right? High and low. Again, periods where you have money versus periods where you don't have money. Cash flow timings, right? Because there will be times where, like for some startups, right, there will be a lot of time where they make no money and they're just developing a product, right? And they need to be aware of how the lack of cash flow affects them, right? Another idea is the be aware of cash flow red flags. There are going to be many crises like, oh, I have this bill to pay by this X date and I can't pay at the moment. Yes, you should address that, but also don't let the crises distract you from the bigger picture, right? Another idea is time management, right? Where you're balancing time spent on the past, present, and future, right? Past is previous debts, analyzing how you spent your money in the past. Present is the things you need to address day by day. A customer came into the office earlier in the morning, those things. And then the future is, okay, where is my long-term plan? Where is my long-term income? Where are the long-term market forecasts coming from, right? And then they also talked about good and bad legal fees. So good legal fees are things like contracts, intellectual properties, entities that you create that bring you in income. And bad legal fees are usually like reactive litigation, like, you have to get in contact with your insurance for this XYZ thing, or, oh, you are getting sued for this reason, or, oh, you need to sue this customer for this reason because they didn't give you your cash flow, right? It's those things. Try to avoid your bad legal fees, right? But most importantly, it's the process over the single goal, because once you develop a good process, the business grows. So then chapter 6, right? They talk about, this is where he transitions more into the focus about like organizations in general and less about the individual kinds of businesses, right? So this information, the chapter 6 is like, okay, this information can apply more to like a church or like a nonprofit organization, right? The power of a mission, right? Your mission gives a focus to your resources and how decisions are made. If you don't have a mission, various things will distract your money and distract what you do, and then that'll throw off your balance, right? You don't want your balance in your business's goals and your business's focus to be thrown off, right? So you need to have a mission that gives you ways to focus your resources, right? Then we talk about phases of development, right? There are 3 big phases, and he makes an analogy about his experience in Vietnam, but it's basically the learning years of understanding, right? Where you develop yourself, develop your business, develop what you have. Then there are the earning years, right? The big years where you have your income or you're doing the big thing that your nonprofit is created for. And lastly is the giving back years, right? Where you're teaching people or you're helping other people develop their businesses, right? And this is usually like a retirement, or for like in Robert's case, right? He created his LLC to then teach people. That was his giving back years, right? And then there are the types of money, right? So competitive money is the one we often always focus on, the one we think of whenever we think of money, right? Profit and performance is usually what drives this money. Then there's cooperative money, right? Money that's created from partnerships and shared goals, right? This isn't actual cash, but it's like the experiences and the friendships that you make to develop yourself. And lastly, spiritual money, right? Money from a higher purpose. If your higher purpose is God, if your higher purpose is educating others, if your higher purpose is helping the poor, right? But that gives you fulfillment and that keeps you going, right? So chapter 7 transitions a bit back into the more financial focus. And here it's focusing on how you want to, what kind of business you want to create, whether it's a self-employed business or like an S quadrant, or you build a business where you have a scaling product or a scaling idea, right? But the most important thing in this chapter is building a strong team, right? It requires you to have good fundamentals to build a good team. And if you build a good team, what you build will outlast you, even if you aren't there in the day by day, right? You want to teach others how to succeed. The quote I really liked was, elevate the financial well-being of humanity, right? And then they toss in this important idea at the end where it's like, you need to create a legal mechanism for your business or your organization to exist independent of your personal assets, right? Because if they are tied to your personal assets, if something happens to you, or if something happens, a huge medical bill or anything like that, you don't want what you built to just disappear, right? What you want to build should be able to stand independent of you if you want it to stand independent of you. So 2 more chapters. So chapter 8, the role leaders play. So this one is just like a couple ideas to focus on leadership and not get yourself caught up in creating yourself another job, right? An employee, where you're an employee as a business owner, right? The leaders do various things like defining the mission, building the team, strengthening internal operations, right? These are all important things to do for the business so that the business keeps going, right? Because there are many things that are important for employees to do, and you as a business owner might feel like, oh, this employee isn't doing this right, I needed to take it over myself. Like, no, what you want to do is teach that individual to do it correctly, and then focus on the things that only you can do, right? And then another idea is a sustainable competitive advantage. So here, a sustainable competitive advantage is just the idea of the systems that you create that keep your business functional, right? It says a competitive advantage, but I feel like more it's just like sustainable function, right? It's like the day by day, the mechanisms by which your business keeps going so that you can keep it, so that it's self-sustaining, right? Whether it's product designs, the system like HR, or the different financial groups within your company, right? Your legal protections, your financial resources, right? All of these things have to keep going to create new and better products, and these new and better products are like a self-fulfilling cycle, right? And it keeps going, and the business keeps sustaining itself, right? Last chapter, well, not the last chapter, but the chapter 10 was a summary. So this entire presentation was a summary, so I omitted it, right? The last one is value is from broad categories of markets you can target, which are low value, middle value, and high value, right? Low value price leaders usually have to have a very, very, very good business model to succeed. And this is a difficult market to cut into, but if you have a good idea, a really good idea to undercut the existing market, then this is where you might push yourself, right? High priced products then need to have a unique value, right? Something that caters to like a very specific demographic. And when we say high price type of equipment that's used in an industry that I'm experienced in, right? And I know that I have this problem previously whenever I tried to use this equipment. I've created a solution for this problem, and now those high-priced products can be sold to another business, right? And I think high-priced products, like whenever we default think of like, okay, wealthy people, but really high-priced products should be more like business to business, right? And then the last idea that they also toss in is basically like the middle market is very crowded. And while you can target the middle market, you need to target it carefully because you don't want to get too caught up in the middle market. And the cash flow game is a game that Robert and his associates had created. And they decided to rebrand it as a high price product in 2004. Well, not in 2004, earlier than 2004, but by 2004, they had accelerated the growth of that product, that financial education game, to then expand to 350,000 customers. And it's just like, okay, since they reoriented themselves, they were able to grow more. And another idea that's also tossed in the book that I didn't put on the presentation is that if you want to target different groups, have different products for each price group instead of trying to make your product target all groups, because something that's made for everyone is made for no one, right? And then I tossed them just a few pictures, right? We have two companies here, Toyota and Rolls-Royce, right? Both of these are well-respected companies that both target different price demographics, yet they're both still successful, well-respected companies, right? And just because you target like a middle income or a lower income price bracket does not mean that your company isn't as prestigious or isn't as well liked, right? Because you see a lot more Toyotas on the street than you do Rolls Royces. And that's the end of my presentation. I want to thank everyone for listening. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. The presentation was really really on
Thank
time.
you. Standing
Thank you,
ovation.
Cheryl. He just did it in 17 minutes, which is great. We had to learn how to keep on time. So definitely you still have 3 minutes to finish up. I'll open the floor for anyone who wants to intervene,
30 minutes.
and I'll let the floor open, and I'll come back to talk about what I think of the book. So who want to intervene? Do we want to go with Steve
Hey, if you let me,
or first of
Steve,
all?
I can go ahead, yeah, if you let me in. So, yeah, thank you, Shirel, for the presentation. If someone didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, I think your summary is good enough to show so many aspects. And I really appreciate the way you go chapter by chapter to go over the concept. There are some stuff in the book that I don't agree on, but just me maybe. Like when he say give 2 weeks notice before you quit your job. Yeah, this is the general rule here in the US. But when they want to fire you, they don't give you any notice, right? They just tell you it's over, you have to go. So also when we are working as a worker, to not have our head down, to not believe that we'll be there forever and be prepared every time. In my place, if you give 2 weeks notice, they will lock your computer and then they will make your life very very horrible. And my last boss before he left the place he was working at before he moved to Honeywell, when he told them that he gave 2 weeks notice, like around 11 o'clock, at 12 someone came and said he cannot stay in the building anymore, and they escort him out. So before you give 2 weeks notice, just be sure that you prepare yourself. That's what my comment is about that. Just I want to focus more on the cash flow side of your presentation. Uh, Many companies that bankrupt is not because they don't have customer. It's not because they're not selling, right? It's not because they're not performing. But the issue sometimes is you have to make sure about your contract, like how much revenue, how much money is coming in, and how much expenses you have at any given time. Because as soon as you cannot pay your contractor, and then the word will spread. And as soon as many people know that you cannot pay anymore, people who are selling to you, they won't sell anymore, and you don't have the money at the bank, and then you fail. So it's important to know about the. I never played the game, but I know about the cash flow. Right now, we have many companies here in Houston. They don't want to do business with Honeywell because our contract term is usually 3 months or 4 months. When you deliver something to us, it's after 4 months that we're gonna pay you. So if you don't have enough cash to carry on to pay your worker to do all of that, you might fail. You might. So we as a book club member, we need to know those kind of things about contract to be careful. It's not because you're selling well that you won't fail. You need to be careful that enough money is coming in to cover both ends. Right. And I think that's all I'm gonna stop on. Like you say, hard work doesn't mean success. So we just need to be careful what hard work we're doing and who we're doing for, right? Jim Rohn told us work hard on your job, but harder on yourself. And I'll stop there. I don't have any questions yet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred Thomas.
Thanks.
And I'll ask if anyone else wants to jump in. And I noticed that there's a new person. Her name is Christiane. Am I correct? Is he a new person?
Yes.
Can we let you introduce yourself, and then if you have anything to say about the book, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I made her, add herself to to the presentation because we are walking and we couldn't get back on time. So
Okay.
for us to be able to pay attention individually on our phone, she just got added. Otherwise, I don't think she has much to add, let
Oh,
alone have an idea of the book.
okay.
She didn't even read the
No,
title.
no, my intention is not to put her in front of the fire that way, but I didn't know that it was that the case. Okay, that's fine. Do you want to say something, Fred Gerard, or you want me to go to another person yet?
Yes, with the wind blowing, I don't think this is the best time for me to intervene, but we are close to the office already. I
Okay,
will
no,
have time
no,
to talk
no
without
problem.
noise.
And Sister Christelle, you want to intervene?
I think she's walking with them.
Oh, she's working with them.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
Christelle.
Estelle. I think all three of them are walking together.
okay, that's fine. And Sister Colombe then.
Oh, well, I have nothing to say.
Oh, you have nothing?
Then
Okay.
I will thank Sherelle for the great presentation. Yes, I did read the book. I didn't finish it, but there was a lot of technical terms that I really didn't get on the book. And when Sherelle is presenting, I feel like it's a lecture, right? A business lecture. But the reading remind me a lot, and he kind of gave a lot of example from the book that we read, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So it remind me a lot from that. But yeah, he blindly quit his job and kind of take on business. So it's require a lot of courage and a lot of planning. And one point that I remember or I take from the book is a lot of business that are even created in visually or in the mind before it actually take place, right? So you have to have your blueprint in your mind before you kind of start taking some step and start working on that business actually. So the cash flow game and all of that, there were a lot of that is and the X boss and that's a little confusing to me, and I didn't go deep into those parts that he was talking about. But they
The
are,
cash flow?
yeah, when he was talking about someone working in the S boss, another working in the B boss, and that's I. It was a little confusing, but I didn't want to go a little deep into that to understand.
Maybe we have time when people. I can explain what I know about it.
Okay, okay, but yeah, the book is it's a great book. Uh, I learned a lot, and it requires courage to quit your job to kind of take on entrepreneurship. And that's all I have to say. And thank you again, Sheila, for the presentation.
So, thank you, Tata Kolom.
Thank you for
And
the
just
presentation.
before I call you today, right, about bank, about money in the account,
Yeah.
that's cash flow issue because you have expenses.
Yeah.
right? But the money that you have in your account is not enough to pay the expenses.
Yeah.
So as soon as you're not able to pay the people who are working, then the news gonna spread, right? Because the people who are working or the people from who you bought stuff and you have to pay them, if they don't get paid, they won't provide new stuff to you. Let's say like maybe they're selling you fish or shrimp for your restaurant, but if they didn't get paid, you won't have new delivery, right? And you don't have new delivery, then the customer come, they cannot eat, and then the employee won't get paid, right? But why you don't have the money? Because probably you sell to some other people stuff and they didn't pay you. So you have to run your business, you have to make sure you have enough money to cover the in and out. If you run out, you're bankrupt and someone just gonna buy the business.
Okay.
I don't know if I explain it, but that's what.
I'll come back on it when I have a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can we allow Fatu or Josh to intervene?
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi, Josh. Welcome
Yeah,
back, Josh.
thank you. And thank you very much, Shirel. The presentation was really good. And I think it covered the book very well. The only thing I maybe just want to say that caught my attention is what we have already known. It's the cash flow quadrant. I think the way the cash flow quadrant was put out right from the beginning was like genius itself, because it was the first time that you could see a model that explains how an employee moves through various stages to becoming a business owner and an investor. And it is what has made um, rich dad poor dad so successful. But one of the things that really I wanted to talk about was fear. The reason why people that are employees are too scared to go into business is because they have this fear that they will fail, fear that they would lose their money. And I don't think that aspect is successfully dealt with in various settings where we teach business, because a lot of people deal with that issue and they're still failing to move forward because of fear. Um, I don't mean to say I have an answer to it, but I think Robert Kiyosaki, in a way, says it best when he tries to explain that if you look at failure as only a lesson that teaches you something you didn't know before, then it becomes easier to deal with. And the other one was that if you have a why, a reason to go into your venture, it has to be greater than the fear that you have for doing it. So we almost like have to create that reason that says, this is why I want to do this. And if that reason is big enough, then the fear will diminish, so to speak. And I think those are important things. But as I say, I don't think that there is enough in the business space, and especially business education, to help people overcome their fear. And that is why business fail, and some people go the to the end of their life with great ideas that had never been fulfilled because they are afraid to take the step forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Josh.
Josh.
Thank you. Thank you. You done less than 4 minutes, which is great. Thank you, Josh. And Fatu, can you intervene, or do you want to intervene tonight?
I'm just going to add two things. First of all, I want to say thank you, Shara, for the great presentation. Um, that's what this book club is about. Everybody present differently, and those method of presenting, we kind of learn from it because yours was like detailed from chapter to chapter, and that was really beautiful. My take from the book tonight is prepare before you actually start anything, because even with the business, there will be slow sale, and you will if you're not prepared, you won't be able to get to where or that business will shut down or it will close down on you. And with a cash flow, that's where we are right now. Me and my husband kind of like making sure, okay, we want to start this, but can we like have a cash flow where in which like if we start a business, we know like we can, if the business is not picking up, which has every season that he was talking about, there's a season that slow sales will be slow, but because you have a backing and a cash flow, you're able to take from that cash flow, which you will get that revenue later on. It just like within the time that you have that slow cash flow, you know that you have a backing, and those backing will be able to cover up. And like um, Thomas was saying about putting in your 2 weeks of quitting job, it's actually you have to literally like he was explaining. You have to make sure like you know where you work, you know your colleagues, you know who you work with, you know things like that. Before even me, I have things about that too, because when you're working somewhere, if your boss is not great or does not like you, you have to know like, okay, if I put in my 1 week, I'm ready to quit today. I'm ready to quit today. I'm ready to leave. If anything happen, I'm done. But don't just put your 2 weeks in expecting that paycheck within that 2 weeks. That is the great thing to do, because I know like somebody that quit our job, and then because they quit on good term, when life turned around, they came back and they were rehired. So that's what those 2 weeks are for. But you can put in your 2 weeks, but know that you are actually done within that 2 weeks that you put it in. So they can take the computer today. You are mentally, physically, everything prepared to get that, to be ripped off of that. Because just because you are nice and trying to be professional doesn't mean everybody around you will be the same thing. So it was a good book, and I been so tired of I did not finish it. I'm hoping to finish it tonight. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thank
Patrick.
thank you, Patrick. You done 3 minutes. That's great.
Next.
And Beyond, yeah, you have the floor.
Okay, I want to thank Shrell for the great presentation. Like like before, he said what I wrote down, so I'm just gonna read it out. The author contrasts the advice of his two father figures, his poor dad, who encourages him to seek stable employment, and his rich dad, who wants him to be an entrepreneur and be self-employed, and that starting a business requires planning and risk management. The author sharing personal anecdotes of failures and successes, bringing emphasis on the need for preparation, and recounting rapid growth experience that led to overlooking critical details, causing failure. He discusses the consequences of the successes without proper management, and said successes can sometimes be more harmful than good because if success is a constant outflow, it may make you blind to other issues. And many entrepreneurs rely on hard work to mask im- improper design, risking burnout and sustainability. And the story of a friend who works tirelessly but ultimately fails, highlighting the importance of designing a good business beforehand. An, an entrepreneur's primary responsibility is to set a business that can work without them, that can ensuring its self-sufficiency and value. And failure is portrayed as a common step toward individual success, which is those with the differentiation made between those who act and hesitate. Different types of entrepreneurs exist. Understanding such distinctions can help individuals in their journey. And, and lastly, differentiations between creating a business that can work for itself and merely creating a job for oneself.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Good job.
I think everyone is improving. Why? Because Beyond have done 3 minutes, which is very, very, very good because he was the shortest, but now he's learning to expand a little bit his words, so it's great. So everyone, those who love to talk too much, they are bringing it down, and those who are talking shorter, they are making it expanding. So we are teaching good things here. Thank you, Bion.
Good job, Bill.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
And I will call Steve if he wants to talk. Otherwise, I'll give the floor to Charlie. All right. I think Steve is now, probably he might be at work and he cannot talk. So, Charlie, you have the
Yes.
floor.
Good evening, everybody,
Good
and
evening.
thank you so much.
Good evening.
Yeah. All right. That was really enjoyable. Shirar, thank you so much for this wonderful summary. It has always been a good job that you do. And whenever you go over it like this, we have a reference version of the book in 5 minutes. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. Uh, when it comes to the book, I really enjoyed it. And I've taken it to be an extension of the book that we have read, either a prelude or extension of that build to sell. It may be a book that you may like to read before build to sell, and it helps a lot. I wish I have read this book before I started business. And people who have not started business may not really value what he is talking about. And even if they value it, they lack the sample at hand to match the point. Fortunately and unfortunately, I do. And one thing I wanted to start with is he defined it clearly. He defined a very clear difference between an entrepreneur and a pure worker. And it wouldn't hurt for anyone who aspire for entrepreneurship to venture into it. But at one point, towards the end, as he shows, you should know when to quit. And they say from a Churchill that said that winners do not quit and quitters don't win. Doesn't work everywhere. You should also know winners can quit and quitters can also win. If you are not a product of entrepreneurship and you at least test the water and realize that honestly is not like a child trying to learn to walk and then fall down once, twice, and decided not to do anymore. If it is not the case, you tried it and allow yourself to be discovered or rediscovered and know that no, this is not my path, then you go back into your 9 to 5 job. But what he said, which was so nice to my understanding, was this: we learn to avoid mistake or avoid mistakes in school. Almost all school curriculum is like that. take tests, just avoid not to make mistake, try to do it right, get the positive one, and that is what carries you to work. And when you are working, you are not allowed to make mistake as such, even if you are in research and development. The mistake that you are allowed to make should be limited to what is allowable. So it is still the same like pass and fail that you do at work. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, if you want to venture into anything that you do not try and learn from your mistakes, you are not going to get anywhere. Mistakes are part of it. They are even the major part of it, I should say, as he also said. But learning from it and do not repeating them is the key. One thing he wasn't saying, emphasizing too much for me was try not to repeat mistakes that have already been made. Just learn from other people's mistakes. He said it, it was so quick, but I wish he emphasized on that. And the other way he said it, he said, pay for it. Work for those mistakes by trying sometimes to going into venture with somebody who has already has it. Work for free. It is your a contribution, your due that you are paying. You will make your mistakes on that person's venture before you get on your own. That will help a lot. So going into something, trying to do something, if I have to recap this, it is technical, true. You need to build. People just think about only the product, but it's not only the product. There are a lot of things, but the product and the cash flow, at least, don't take them for granted. Think in depth and about the product, and also get scenario of your cash flow in place, taking into consideration all key aspects, unavoidable aspects. You can't do it on your own. Learn from those who have already done it. If that is not the case, then go into franchise, which is still doing something that has already been done. Mistakes have been weeded out and so on. And then you won't start from scratch without having any repository. And the last part of my presentation is it is worth trying things. Fear shouldn't define people's life because if you don't check it off, as he said it in his book and so many other books said, your regrets are so many at the end of your days, and certain regret that may not be worth regretting. So trying and check them off at least to limit your regret on your deathbed. Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Charlie.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Charlie. He's the only one
Thank you, Charlie.
who didn't respect the time frame, and he did 6 minutes.
Oh wow, that's so quick. I'm
But at
sorry.
least, yeah, no. We got a lot of information from your intervention. So,
Thank
who
you.
else want to go? All right, me, I'll try to go. Let's reset to 4 minutes. The book is so nice. Why? Because he is not. It's not a book to intimidate anyone. He tried to downsize the information to bring it down to a certain level that everyone could understand. But when he was talking about the cash flow that Sister Colomb want to understand, cash flow is just what is happening in your bank account.
Mhm.
Or I would say to, let's say that is a ball of water, and in that ball there's a out going out, so that if that speed or what is going out from that ball is maybe two speed, but what is coming into that ball as water is one speed, you are already in trouble.
Mhm.
So yeah, because it's two going out and only one coming. At one point of time, there will not be any water. But our intention or our objective is to make sure that there's always water into that jerry can or anything that's holding that water for us. So when you are in a business, anything taking money out, like paying your your employee, paying the vendors, doing this, all of them are water going out. But if your supplier say that, oh, when I sell to you, you have almost 3 months to pay me back, it means that they are leaving more water. They are putting water, but they don't want to take that water out until 3 months, which is very, very important to you. So is what we are doing when they say you have to watch your cash flow. It means that you have to make sure that the jerry can or anything holding your water will not be empty. If it is empty, you might be selling your business without knowing. And that's why you might be going to the bank and say, oh, can you give me a line of credit? Because that line of credit will help you to always have water in that jerrycan, that business, money will be flowing. So that's very, 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 very important. It's the same thing for having a house. You might say that, oh, I'm rich, I have a lot of equity in this house, but you don't have cash flow. Why? Because you cannot take that business, that a real estate, and say you just want to sell and get your money. No, it's not easy. So that's why cash flow is very, very important. And another thing that I noticed, he was talking about the goals and the process. He said that the process is very, very important. How to get to that goal is important as the goal, which is true because we have a problem of not uh, trying to accomplish, not to put the action into how to starting to reach that goal. On that, I don't want to join Fred Charlie's talk today. I'll stop here because I'm just doing a 3 minutes to 26 already. So thank you a lot. I still have a few things, but I hope that if there's any question, we can come back on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Any,
uh,
yeah,
if
everyone, yeah, Krista doesn't want to talk, Steve doesn't want to talk, so everyone has their turn. If we still have some question or any explanation or someone want to intervene, I will give everyone maybe 2 minutes.
the
If
1 minute for
anyone,
me.
no, 2 minutes, I said.
Two? Okay, yeah. So just going back to the cash flow thing is very, very important. Like you explain it, it's true for our life, right? The
Mm-hmm,
other issue also with cash flow is when you have automatic payment set up, right, to pay some people,
mm-hmm,
and then the revenue is not coming in because you're
mm-hmm,
gonna be paying them through the revenue that, and then
mm-hmm.
if you
Yeah.
have back contract, like you said something to Walmart, and you agree with Walmart that the material will stay on the shelf until Walmart sell before Walmart pay you, or before Walmart sell and 1 month later they pay you. It depends on what. So when you have that, your payment to the people you own payment to gonna bounce, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because when it's time, they're gonna set up a payment, but it won't go through, and the bank gonna start charging you also. Oh, they do overdraft fee. You see all of the
mm-hmm,
other problem on top of, at some level, the bank won't allow to pay anymore because they know the money is not coming in and you're in phase, and they might go behind and sell that information to your competitor, to other people, because they know that you are failing. The money is not there. So it's true for business, but it's true for household also, that we need to make sure the expenses are less to the income, whatever stream are bringing money in, it need to be at least equal or less, right? You want to pay the
mm-hmm,
mortgage, you want to pay all of these things. So for sure and beyond, just remember that cash flow, that the money that are coming in has to be more than the money that are going out. This is going out. If the equation is not solved, you won't have a business. You're gonna, even if you have a very good product,
yeah,
someone is gonna buy it. They're gonna take the business from you,
yeah.
right? And the creditor will divide it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lord. And talking about that, to go a little bit to Sister Colombe's area environment that she would understand. In
Yeah, I do.
hospital,
I did
no,
understand.
okay, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I did understand the cash flow thing that you guys explained.
The connection,
Yeah, he
But
say in
let's
the hospital.
ask a question.
yeah, the connection is not great, but we guess what you are saying. And what to go to a little bit in the hospital environment, you will see that people are going to hospital and they say, oh, you have to pay 10,000, 20,000, 5,000, and some of them don't have the money to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then to manage, there should be sometimes there might be cash flow manager, and that cash flow manager might decide to say, okay, we have 100,000 as non-paid a account receivable.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, he might decide that it's better to sell that 100,000 to another company to have maybe 20,000, so that they can keep running the business than waiting for that 100,000 to come. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
where they normally start selling their AR, they call it account receivable. They start selling at at loss,
Loss.
Mm-hmm.
because it might be maybe $2 out of $10,
And
or maybe $2 out of $100. They don't care, because they just want to keep the environment wet. They don't want to leave any water to be dry. They want to keep water in that
Only
jerrycan
for
at
me.
any time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? We still have 2 minutes.
Sure.
one thing to say, as you are saying, the cash flow, just
Mm,
make sure there are two ways to maintain it.
mm,
Either you reduce your expenses so that that water will flow less out of the container.
mhm,
If more income could not be feeding it
mhm.
better, or you find a way to increase the income. If
Yeah,
not, you are going to run out.
yeah, yeah.
But
And
if you could do that exercise before you start the business by trying to learn it from an existing similar business,
mm,
that will definitely help. Sometimes you will not have all the answers, but trying at least to do it and having the physical one, because if you don't before you start, you may no longer be able to do it because of other things that are
mhm,
going on with the business. And you won't have the minimum under control to now be dealing with at least the outlandish now. But if everything is coming out to you while nothing, the core has not been built from start, it becomes difficult, almost impossible to get it done. And if you are not lucky, most of the time, the tactic with that strategy is always noise before defeat. You
mm.
will end up, crashing down.
That's true.
Thank you.
I think we finish, and just to go into what Charlie was saying again is to manage that cash flow. Other people trying to delay the
The
payment
payment.
out,
Amen.
and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
trying to make it sure that the coming is very, very fast. So that when they send invoice out, they'll say, "Oh, you have only 2 weeks to pay me back. You have only 2 weeks." But when they are buying products from supplier, they will negotiate to have at least 1 month to 2 months or 4 months. So by doing that, it's not necessarily the water that are there. Is it your water or not? Is that water has to be
The
there.
flow, yeah,
You have to maintain the water, otherwise your
your hours.
company will be
Yeah.
in a deep, deep, deep problem.
That
And
is.
on
Yeah.
that, I think we finished today. And let's quickly check the next book. And next book is me presenting, and the title is "You, Your Child, and School Navigates Your Way to the
You
Best."
not to the world.
Yeah,
Wow.
Mm.
and I never heard
That's
about
Sounds
good
that
like
for
a
book.
you.
beyond.
Hmm? Come again?
So we need to check. Yeah. We need to
Put
check.
it on. Thomas?
I don't know. We're gonna check. Is it? Even someone proposed it, so we'll check. But tomorrow afternoon we'll know where we are on that.
Yeah. I
Okay.
never heard about this title, so it will be a new book for me, and I'm very, very keen to understand and be happy as well to present it. And on
Okay.
that, we finish this meeting, and if anyone has to say something, that's fine. Otherwise, we just finish. Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.